Hey, what's going on, everyone? Just got back from a little Facebook marketplace sourcing. Something happened there that just reminded me of something I want to make sure that I passed on to you. So let's bring this inside and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. All right, so here we are. Here's this little bag, and what's inside this bag isn't really the point of today's video. Today's video is really about some steps that you could take to help connect to others so that you can help your business. And this is really important when you're outsourcing, and it's also important if you're on social media and you're trying to make a connection with other people. But I know you're curious about what's in there, so before I get to those steps, I'll just show you real quick. Mrs. Primetime sent me out to get this because she's always afraid that she's going to get kidnapped, so she sends me out to do these things. So this is a lot of, a bunch of like beads and stuff, and there's so many of these things in here. There's like all different colors and stuff, and there's like little tools and things, and so she's probably gonna resell the beads. We got everything here for 15 bucks, and she wants to use these containers for supplies. Now, the beads here, they partly relate to what I'm going to tell you about, because when I go out and I'm trying to find out if there's anything else that the person might have that they're willing to sell, I try to make a connection with that person in some way. And this was not a deal that I was involved in initially. Mrs. Primetime set this up. So I'm just going there. All I know is I'm going to pick up these beads for 15 bucks. That's all I know. So I go, and the lady who opens the door is in a wheelchair. And she basically tells me that she had to get rid of this stuff because she can no longer use her hands. And when you hear that, that elicits some sympathy, right? Because, boys, what happened that you cannot use your hands? And it turns out, in her instance, there's a medical problem that she has that prevents her from using her hands effectively. She can't do anything that involves fine motor stuff. And at that point, when you have a connecting point like that, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be something medical, but whatever it is, what you want to do at that point is you want to express a genuine interest in that person. So, if you don't mind me asking, what exactly happened, or, do you think that it's going to get better, or, questions along those lines. Is there anything else that you're able to do, to replace that activity? These questions right now have nothing to do about sourcing other materials from the individual, really. It's just about, again, establishing that connection. And I do the same thing here on social media. For example, in the comments section, I'll respond directly to specific individuals and ask them questions about their own business and about themselves. I do the same thing in my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. I put polls up in my YouTube channel, and every once in a while, if someone asks me, why are you asking all these questions? Because I'm genuinely interested in you as an individual and in you as a whole, so that I could deliver content that's going to be helpful to you and help you in your business. Now, while the person is communicating with you, it's really important that when you are expressing interest in them, that interest is genuine. It has to be genuine. It cannot be something fake, something that's used as a trick to try to make a deal. People sense that, and they see through that stuff. So you can't do that. It's really important, and this would be step number 2, is that you have to be a good listener. So it's one thing to ask those types of questions that I just mentioned, but while the person is communicating with you, you really have to listen to what they're saying, and don't them the whole time. Once in a while, that's okay. Don't cut them off. Listen to what they're saying. it shows that you have empathy for them. It shows that you're interested in what they have to say. Plus, if you really are actively listening to them, you'll pick up on other things that could be a good basis for a continued conversation. So the other thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're talking in terms of the other person's interest. So in this instance, I started to talk to her about, well, is there other stuff that you're looking to downsize, you're looking to get rid of? Because she mentioned downsizing and that she had been selling some other stuff. And turns out that there is, and turns out that she has an interest in ephemera, which I love. So these are paper products that weren't meant to last long. And things like old calendars that she has from the 20s and the 40s and old advertisement stuff, all things that I love. And old toys and things like that. And then it turns out that there's 3 sheds across the way from her that are filled with stuff. So now, obviously, I have an interest in comics, right? But that's not the first thing that I drop. I'm waiting to hear the things that she's interested in and trying to find ways to connect with her on those things. So anything she mentions that I could find a connection with, I try to connect with her on that and have a discussion with her. And that makes her feel valued, and then that makes her value me because I'm valuing her. It's a reciprocal thing, goes back and forth. And related to that, this would be point number 4, is that you want to make the other person feel important. Again, not as a trick. You want to make the person genuinely feel important. Is there something that they have? Is there something that they did that makes them special? Everyone has something like that makes them special, that makes them different, makes them unique. Your job is to try to figure out what that thing is. So in her instance, she had lots of cool collectibles and collections. She mentioned being a collector. Well, myself being a collector as well. What I was doing there was connecting to her on that level and saying, wow, that is an amazing collection of calendars, for example, that you have. That is a beautiful piece that you have, and that makes her feel special that she went out and is now being recognized for sourcing something like that and building up a big connection. So that is really important. You really want to make the other person feel like that they are the focus of the conversation, not that you are the focus of the conversation. Sure, share some of your own interests, but you really want to put the focus on the other person if you're trying to build up these relationships. Now, the other thing that is really important is to make sure, and this is one of the things that is the most overlooked, use the other person's name. Think about it. What word is more important to a person than their own name? As Dale Carnegie has mentioned, people will spend millions of dollars to put their own name and attach it onto a building somewhere. Okay, people love to hear their name. They love to see their name. This is why, for all of you, for example, who are creators on YouTube or talking to people, maybe you have a Facebook group or just in your own business correspondence, if you can't, try as much as possible to say someone's name when you respond to them. So a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times you will see in the YouTube comments, for example, I'll say, thanks, Jesse. Thank you, Esme. I appreciate that, CEO or Carol. I'll say something like that. I'll say the person's name or their nickname. People love hearing that kind of stuff. It really does make them feel special. So, it just takes a couple of extra keyboard presses to do that. Granted, you can't do it every time because of time pressures, but as much as you can try to work that in, and also in conversation. So, I ask her, what is her name? Try to remember the person's name, and then when you leave, especially when it's the last thing that I always do it in an in-person situation. So leave and say, okay, thanks. Have a great day, Samantha. Have a great day, John. Talk to you later, Matt, whatever that name is, connect to it. And then the other thing, the last thing, number 6, is make sure that you smile. Smiling is really important. It's really important for me, especially because my natural resting face is one in which I look mad. Okay, so I have to make it a point that I'm smiling. We all have these different resting facial expressions. So that's why you see in my YouTube thumbnails, for example, I often am smiling in them because smiling is welcoming and smiles are free to give. So make sure that you're smiling as much as possible. Some of these things might not come naturally to everybody, and they could be some things you have to work on. They seem like pretty basic, simple things, but they're really overlooked. But at the end of this situation, going out blindly to this person's house to just pick up these, knowing nothing about the person, to pick up these beads for $15, we established a connection over about, a 15-minute conversation, and wound up giving her my business card, and hopefully we'll touch base again sometime in the future. So remember, everyone here watching this also matters. Every subscriber, every person watching these videos, you all are important to me as well, and I really look forward to making further connections with everyone down the line. So make sure that if you like this video, you hit the like button. Make sure that you put a comment down below on a particular tip that maybe you liked, or maybe you feel you have to apply more, or maybe something else that you found helpful that I didn't mention. These tips, by the way, which I use all the time, are common core elements to Dale Carnegie's system on how to win friends and influence people. My dad gave me that book when I was a kid. He walked into my room, he handed it to me, he said, read this book. And so that's part of the book. If you've never read it before and you want to give it to a family member or a child, someone that you know, it doesn't have to be like a teenager, or you're gonna have to read it to them. I'll put an Amazon affiliate link to it down below if you're interested in it. But it's a very common book, and you can read about it online for free if you want to. You don't even have to get the book, but it's cool if you want more detail. So with that being said, everyone, I'm going to sign off for now. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you back at the next one, everyone. Take care.